To please Allah, a chance to gain reward, I will spend on you, he says, on all who spend in good cause. Good deeds are opportunities, sparkling bright and true, raising you in the sight of Allah and adorning Al-Jannah for you. So rush to earn his reward. Don't forget the oppressed. And when you go to sleep at night.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Inshallah, welcome to another episode of A Time to Please Allah with your host Gabriel Al-Romaani and
Ismail Bullock.
And we have another exciting episode, another exciting day, another exciting topic, and we have two exciting guests, inshallah, and we'll bring them in a short while. I want to remind all the viewers to make sure that you give us a call if you want to contribute. This show is for you, taking your ideas, your feedback, and bring it back to you and package it in such a way that everyone else enjoys it and everyone can relate to it. Practical things that people deal with in their daily lives here in the 21st century, living in this world, in this global village. And give us a call. The number is on the screen. And also you can leave us a comment on Facebook and we'll make sure that we'll try to read it. And even you can message us. So there's plenty of ways to get a hold of us and to participate to this show. Today we are talking about, I think, a very important topic that I think this whole show is about. It's kind of, as you said before the show, that we do that before every show, alhamdulillah. And it is reliance upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, relying upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tawakkal Allah.
But then maybe sometimes we do it too much,
yes.
And we go against the principle of akhadh al-asbab,
yes,
to take the means to do something. So maybe it's not always.
Yeah, it's not
maybe
always.
Sometimes we make the tawakkul,
and
not the tawakkul.
Yes.
The way where you rely, you totally
like
rely on Allah without making the necessary steps. The tawakkul, rather than
it's a foolish reliance, and it's not even relying upon Allah. It's basically you're taking it too far. Everything is fine, and everything. I think they call it fatalistic type of approach, where you just think that you're not doing anything. And just
sounds a bit dramatic, that one. Fatalistic approach.
Yeah. That's what it is. You basically say, oh, what, no matter what, everything's going to happen the way it's supposed to be, and and I don't have anything to do. It's like you made it. And subhanAllah, there used to be a group of people back in the days, and they're called if I believe it was the Iblisiyya, the group, because their basic what they used to say is that same thing that Iblis do. He said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you misguided me, subhanAllah, right? So you blamed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These people kind of used to say the same thing, that we are what we are because just Allah has made us like this, right? So not putting any kind of reliance, any kind of responsibility or taking anything upon themselves. This is interesting. It's interesting to find a lot of people talking about this issue of relying upon Allah. What does it mean to put your trust in Allah? To what extent, as you said, and how, what do we have to do as human beings to take things also in our hands, and to what extent to do the work and so on. There's a beautiful statement in English, they say, do your best and let God do the rest, right? So you do whatever you can do, and then of course everything is within the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
That reminds me of the people who used to come from Yemen to do Hajj, and they would come without come without any provisions, and they would just sit there, and wait for people to give them handouts, like we say these days. And Umar radiallahu anhu, he came to them and said to them, "What do where are your provisions?" And they said, "We are al-mutawakkilin or mutawakkilun, And Umar said, really? And then he chased him out the masjid with his stick. I mean, and a verse was revealed for those people, you know. فَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. You know, emphasizing to, you know, make an effort and to seek provision, and the best provision is the taqwa of Allah. So that's a very important. That clearly shows that you have to, you know, take the steps necessary, as well as providing, you know, relying upon Allah. And you know, something happened today, just before, actually about 2 hours before I came, at my workplace, which you know is in the historic area of Dubai, which is a Arabic / Islamic exhibition, and a Russian tourist came in. We did what we usually do. We brought him in. We gave him Arabic tea and coffee, and you know, indirectly through the Arabic culture and the calligraphy, we bring in the Islam, how the Quran, how this whole calligraphy and this art came from the preserving the Quran, how the revelation of Iqra, how this whole revolution of studying and intellect and education started. So at the end, he said, "Can I have my name written in Arabic?" So our resident calligrapher there did his name in very nice calligraphy, and then he said, "Oh, I have a gift for you," and he pulled out a stone. And I don't know if you have the same in Romania, but he's from Russia, so he's not obviously from the UK. But we have in the UK, they call them lucky stones. They're always these flat pebbles. Right. Whether you draw on them or you just give them, you know, blank. Right. They're supposedly good luck, just like the 4-leaf clover and the horseshoe and all this nonsense. So he came and said, I mean, obviously he wanted to give something, you know. So from that, you know, he's trying to be nice. But he said, this is what my mother does. Very nice drawing on the stone. He said, and she asked me to give it to people. So she's like giving her indirect da'wah. Really? So she's saying, give this to as many people as you can when you go to the Emirates and take photos. I want to see who got my gift. Wow. So she is giving da'wah to this superstitious good luck. And he happened to be one of those people who have roots. You could say kind of like even though he looked pretty white, but he could say they're like the Native American, like the Native Indians or the Inuit in Canada. They're a bit like they're kind of like the Inuits of Russia. Right. But they obviously, you know, they don't hunt and things like that. But they're a particular ethnic tribe of Russia. So probably this came from their pagan beliefs. But that reminded me. I said today we've already chosen the topic of reliance upon Allah, and we see people they have reliance upon stones. Stones, right? This amulets. Stones that you could pick up from the. It's not even like not that makes a difference, but it wasn't even like a valuable diamond that you could find only one place in the world. You could find them on any old beach in the UK, for example, a flat pebble. But the people are taking this as relying upon it for good luck. It will give me good luck in my exams, in my life, in everything. So, you know, subhanAllah, we have reliance upon Allah, and how many people are looking for that reliance, that purpose in life? They're turning to relying on things like stones and 4-leaf clover and hanging a horseshoe on their door. Horseshoes, subhanAllah. And amazing thing, I think a lot of people try to use these things and they have a sense of protection, and it's a false sense of protection. And you know, they hang things in Romania. You do a lot to do. You hang garlic. Is that because of isn't that something to Count Dracula or something?
It does. There's a relation to it, yeah. But yeah, they hang garlic, and even you hang garlic on your chest sometimes, like on a thing, or you put in your belly button.
But that's exactly what my colleague at work, brother Isa, Filipino brother, he said that in the Philippines they put ginger in their pocket to keep away the devil. Keep away amazing the kind of things people come up with.
Yeah, and very important thing. A lot of people, and even a lot of the Muslims, might not know this, but when you say to people, good luck, you know, luck, when it comes to luck, lucky charms and lucky things, right? Actually, luck, the translation, it comes actually from fortuna. In Latin, it comes from fortuna. And fortuna was actually a pagan deity, right? So that's where they took it. It has to do with tawakkul on this thing, right? So when you say good luck, basically you're saying it's kind of like, you know, may this God be with you, you know, fortuna.
So is it right to say that this fortuna is what's become as known as fortune?
Fortune, yeah. So
even good luck. Fortune, you know, maybe, I mean, we're not making any fatwas here, of course, but, you know, obviously it's a bit of a concern to use those kind of words in that case.
Exactly. It's basically you're using the deity, the name of the deity, and in the description of its attributes in pagan mythology.
That opens a whole new, board game. I remember you recently you used the word of there was a word we were talking about that you said it means crucifixion.
Yes.
What was it again? Critical? Crucial.
Crucial, yeah.
So there's so many books that we are translated in for, even in Aqidah books, where they use the terminology crucial.
It's crucial.
Or they use the terminology
it's coming from
fortune.
Yeah, fortune.
Fortune from Allah.
Fortune, yeah.
So, SubhanAllah, a lot of people don't quite realize. I mean,
because the translation, once you move down the translation,
filter it down, no one's really aware of the original meanings.
Attention, yeah. And a lot of the words have faced the same issue. But specifically to this, to Fortuna, I think you and I were discussing not too long ago about the issue of Nike, right? And that's also related to
oh yeah, I'm a complete anti-Nike now. I mean, I used to. I mean, there was a lot of those.
Adidas.
There was a lot of those. Allahu Alam, if they were true that the shoes designed like this. I mean, you could see some similarities.
With Allah's name,
and they say Coca-Cola. You put Coca-Cola backwards. I mean, some of those are a bit far-fetched, maybe. But so I never really went down that road. But when I researched the Nike, the fact that the Nike was the god of victory. So the company of Nike, it's not like fortune. It's a word that's come thousands or hundreds of years that no one knows what it means. Nike company, which is founded probably
the 50s, I believe, or so,
was purposely chosen for the god of victory, as if to say we are, you'll become victorious by wearing Nike, the god of victory.
Yeah.
Apparel and shoes and what have you. Yeah. And on top of that, even the tick they use is the sign of the god.
Of the god, yes.
So I mean, Allahu Alam, I mean, if you go to places like Islam Q&A, not that Islam Q&A is the be all and end all of fatwa, but fatwa has even been given that when you know something like that, and I think generally, you will find some audio out there where it was put forward to some of the major scholars in Saudi, and they were asked, and they said, if it means this, haram, ya akhi,
Yeah.
So maybe this is a good sign for some of the. But there's some of these little things we don't have a clue.
A lot of people don't take. Yeah.
We don't even know sometimes,
And obviously, when you do it without knowing,
even Pegasus, isn't Pegasus a god?
Pegasus also.
Nike Air Pegasus.
Yes.
I used to have that when I was at school. One of the famous.
I used to have a bicycle Pegasus.
It's the famous brand. The Nike Air Max, the Nike Air Pegasus.
Yeah.
Even some of the name of the shoe under Nike.
Right.
The Nike god of victory, Pegasus the god of flight, I believe, right?
Yeah,
a horse god or something like this. SubhanAllah.
Yeah, so a lot of these things, obviously people, they do it out of ignorance, so they don't know. But a lot of times it's associated with this concept of having tawakkul on these things, right? That somehow these things will protect me. Somehow these things will,
Even indirectly, maybe they don't really believe it, but the whole point of them saying Nike is, rely on us in a sense, you will be victorious.
Right. And sadly to say, but a lot of the Muslims have inherited or have adapted some of these ideas, specifically, the issue of khamsa, right? You've seen in the Muslim world there is something very popular. Are you aware of this whole khamsa thing, the hand that's like upside down? I don't know if you've ever seen this, no?
No.
Yeah, that's something that's very popular in the Arab countries. Or the eye,
Oh yeah, for the hasad kind of thing.
Yeah, for the hasad and something like that, right? So a lot of people think that these things will protect you against these things, right? They put their.
I recently saw a really funny one, which was an eye by itself, and then underneath it was a peacock. What the peacock had to do with it?
I don't know.
Allah knows best.
But it is a cultural thing. A lot of people don't understand. They don't question it. They hang it in their cars. They hang it around.
I think the peacock has some kind of maybe Persian. If you look at the Yazidi religion, that's based in parts of Iran and some of the Kurds and stuff, they have the Tawus, which is actually they believe is the shaitan. And they have it as a peacock, and at the same time they direct some of their worship towards the peacock, which they say is the shaitan. And someone said, but why would they elevate the shaitan? Because they say that the shaitan is at such a level that he dared to challenge Allah. So this is like one of his, supposedly for them, this is a good characteristic, that because he was able to stand up to Allah, he was so brave, it makes him some kind of noble being. So, and that somehow along the lines it comes down to being represented in the form of a peacock, and then they turn. So I believe that some of the Muslims mixed in with these kind of.
That's what happens. It's like here's an idea that is totally open and wrong, and everyone knows about it. And then someone adds a little bit to it, and then another one, and down, it just becomes a whole new package.
Little things, like, a lot of Muslims, I've seen it even when I was at school, from in Pakistan or the Indian subcontinent, when they're asking for forgiveness, they say, tuba. They do this with their ears, which is the Hindu way of seeking repentance. But because of the proximity, because of the lack of knowledge, they've adapted things. So, well, they're doing that. We'll say we'll say astaghfirullah.
We'll just change the name. Yeah.
So they've adapted this, maybe this thing from the Yazidis or some other paganistic Persian thing, and they've added it with mashallah, with a peacock or something. Subhanallah.
And we kind of brought here, I think, some very good, valid points that a lot of people are not aware of. Let's go back to the Islamic point of view. And what is tawakkul? It's just an amazing thing, subhanAllah, when you realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of the heavens, of the earth, everything that's in between, everything, He is the one who knows everything, and He is the one who ordered the pen to write everything that will happen. Everything, right? And He knows exactly everything in our hearts, what would happen this way, that way, and so on. And a Muslim having that understanding, this is where the tawakkul becomes crystallized. That, you know what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who protects the believers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who knows exactly what each believer, not just believer, the disbelievers, every single living being in this earth, what they deserve exactly. And this is as much as we can do. We can't change some of these things, right? SubhanAllah. So the Muslim navigates through his life with his full faith and trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah knows exactly what's good for him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not burden this person with more that he can bear, subhanAllah. So I've met a lot of people, and specifically now in the West, there's just a new trend of depression. SubhanAllah, depression, and people not knowing what to do. They're turning to in so many different directions, looking for for a meaning in life, for a purpose, or for answers as to why is this happening, to me. And they spend so much time looking for the so-called, why is this happen? Why did this exact incident have to happen to me, right? And they're stuck. They can't move ahead in their lives. And they compromise their lives, their careers, their families, and so on, because they cannot accept the fact that, this is just the way it happened. And you can't do anything about it. And you just move on, right?
A lot of them, I gave a lecture recently, and I was mentioning that how people are looking for this kind of answer. They're looking for someone to turn to rely upon. And I said, apart from that example of the guy in his stone, but they turn to all kinds of strange things, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, the whole feng shui, this whole Chinese art of reorganizing your house will give you tranquility in the soul.
Right.
And they do this, they join fitness classes, they try and do everything they can to find this inner peace, and they just never find it. They go from this kind of, they go from some kind of hobby to another hobby, trying to find that kind of peace in life, that kind of answer to life. This will provide me with the happiness, and they just go on and on and on. SubhanAllah.
And obviously, when you look at the issue of the modern world, right? The modern concept, people are pretty much moving away from religion and so on, and they're trying to find out tawakkul upon what? Upon their own strengths and powers, right? It's like, okay, I'm making out tawakkul upon myself. So they're saying, forget about any outside of influence, any outside, strength or so on, divine or anything like that. Now I'm just going to rely upon myself. I'm my own God, or whatever. People have come up with these new terms. Anyway, we need to take a break, inshallah. But I want to remind our viewers, and we will bring our guests right now for the next part of the episode. I want to remind the viewers about giving us a call. Inshallah, the number's on the screen, or you can shoot us an email or a message on Facebook.
Yeah, and that just reminded me. Call us and let us hear your personal experience of relying upon Allah, how you relied upon Allah, and what was the outcome.
Stories, yeah.
Let's hear there must be many experiences out there that they can give us a call and input, inshallah, into the show.
Right. So we'll be back after this break, inshallah.
A time to please Allah, a chance to gain reward. I will spend on you, He says.
فلا وربك لا يؤمنون حتى يحكموك فيما شجر بينهم ثم لا يجدوا في أنفسهم حرجا مما قضيت ويسلموا تسليما. There are 3 levels. Sister Rayhan from Bahrain. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Fahim from Sweden. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, barakallah feek Fahim. May Allah bless you and your family.
Sheikh, I have one question.
Now, that is not allowed. Why isn't allowed? Because the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man ghasha falaysa minna." He who deceives or betrays does not belong to us. He's not one of us. A person who is given the sadaqah or leading the prayer does not have necessarily to be praying fard. Maybe he's praying the nafl that is after the prayer, the two sunnah after dhuhr or after maghrib or after isha. And the follower, the imam, will be praying with the intention of offering the fard that he has missed. Okay, barakallahu feek.
Welcome to Tech Talk. I'm your host, Omar Shear. This season of Tech Talk, we will focus specifically on the internet.
A student would type their paper, and instead of handing me a hard copy of their paper, they would upload it to this learning system, this e-learning system.
I have some great experience when it comes to technology, and in particular, internet technology. Call to action is something that we do in our day-to-day lives, and maybe we don't realize it. Now we want to discuss, after you have a product and you have a website and you have a way to communicate with your customers, which would be your email marketing system, now it's time to take the money from the customer.
Time to please Allah, a chance to gain reward. I will spend on you, he says, on all who spend.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. Now, before we went to the break, we said, please, give us a call. Let's hear your experience. I'm sure there's many experiences out there, many stories of people who came into some kind of trouble, had a problem, and they put their reliance, inshallah, upon Allah, and everything worked out fine. So let's get some of those phone calls, inshallah, or Facebook messages. And without further ado, we have two guests now, mashallah, with us here. I'll start, on my left, even though I should start on my right, but there's nobody on my right, so I'll start with my left, which is brother Iyaz?
Yes.
Or Iyad?
Yes.
Or how would you like to pronounce it?
Well, it's in Arabic, it's Iyad actually.
So we can do both. We can
or Iyaz or
cover
Iyad.
both continents.
Inshallah, yeah, that should be all right.
So let's just hear a bit about yourself first of all, before we go to the next guest.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. أولا, first of all, your brother in Islam, my name is Ayaz Housi. And, that's the name in Mauritius, Ayaz, but over here in the masjid, in the university, they call me Iyad. In the Arabic word. And I'm from Mauritius Island. I was born and raised over there. And I graduated from the University of Medina Munawwara back in 2012. And currently I'm a teacher in a school in Sharjah and an imam in Jabal Ali, Masjid al-Nakhil.
Okay.
So the morning over there.
So you're in the Nakhil, one of the projects. When you say Masjid al-Nakhil...
the name of the masjid is Masjid al-Nakhil.
Oh, so it's not Nakhil like the company Nakhil?
No, because that's their masjid.
Okay, it is their masjid. So you're in one of the communities?
Yeah, in...
Waterfront?
In Discovery Gardens.
Oh, Discovery Gardens.
Yeah.
So you're close to Ibn Battuta kind of thing?
Exactly.
Oh, I know that very well.
Yeah.
Sorry, I used to work for Dubai World. Free advertising there.
So,
okay, mashallah. So you're the imam there, and you teach at the School of Creative Science?
Yeah, School of Creative Science in Sharjah.
What do you teach?
Another free advertisement.
Yeah, I teach Quran studies, Islamic studies, and social studies.
Okay, mashallah.
Yeah, so I teach over there.
تربية وطنية ولا how did they call it?
Yeah, تربية إسلامية we call it. Yeah, so in the
For
morning I
social
just go
studies,
there.
how do they call it?
Yeah. دراسة اجتماعية.
Okay, اجتماعية.
Yeah, so do that as well. And when I come back, I get my Salat al-Asr, Maghrib and Isha.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do it. I got my mu'adhin to cover me when I'm not there.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
So you do Fajr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha?
Yeah, Dhuhr. Sometimes in the winter time, I wasn't getting Asr as well. So when I get back home, it's already at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
From Sharjah to Jebel Ali,
Yeah,
almost an hour.
Yeah.
For then I can just get the salawat jahriya, you know, the like Fajr, Maghrib and Isha. The other prayer. Alhamdulillah, my muaddin, he's ready to cover me up anytime. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Nice.
Moving on to Brother Nisar, I believe, right?
Yes.
Please say about yourself.
Alhamdulillah. Nahmaduhu nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. I welcome all the viewers and my host and co-host and my colleague guest. I'm Nisar Nadiyadwala. Basically, I'm from Mumbai, and I was a research executive in Peace TV.
Okay.
And before that, we were working in IRF with Dr. Nayak, and I was a participant in both the phases of Dawah training program conducted by Dr. Nayak himself. And then I was upgraded as a trainer and a faculty in all the Dawah training programs that includes Islamic public speaking, participating in interfaith dialogues, panel discussions, media presentations, and on, alhamdulillah. Now, due to health reasons, I left the job, and I'm still into training now, mashallah. And I write books also. I've written one book, The Modest Muslima and Her Hijab. And the next book is ready. I want to marry, but what are the social causes, obstacles in the way of marriages? And the third and fourth books, the diary of a Dai, my experience and excitement and adventures in Dawah is compiling a diary on that also, inshallah. So let's hope the younger generations, we leave behind a legacy that they continue, maybe they're better than us, inshallah.
So you're very close to, I believe, Dr. Zakir Naik.
Of course, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, he's my ustad.
Yes. I think all of us, we can call him.
Directly learning under him,
we
mashallah.
learned a lot from him.
And I've been working with him for past 12 years.
MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillah. And working in IRF and Peace TV is an experience, cherishing experience. You don't forget it easily in life. Alhamdulillah.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of interesting discussions and interfaith dialogues.
Of course. And also participating,
mashallah.
Sometimes impromptu, sometimes prepared, well planned in advance, sometimes impromptu. We find ourselves in the midst of dialogue, and we have to pursue. And that's what the topic is about. Tawakkal ala Allah.
Yes.
The source and asbab also there, and sometimes directly if the help of Allah arrives, we are not ready.
So let's go back to the topic, I guess. Let's start with Ayal. How do we, the concept of tawakkul Allah and putting our reliance upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how do we see that from an Islamic perspective versus other faiths and so on? And what does it mean for a Muslim to put his trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. And of course, in the beginning, you said that already. But in Islamic perspective, just said that التوكل هو الاعتماد على الله عز وجل على الله عز وجل وحده في كل شيء. على الله وحده. It is that you put your trust upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone on everything that you do. And you were right in the beginning to say the difference between التوكل and التواكل. Putting your trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like how you said, it is not something that you just put your trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you just sit at home. So your question is the difference between the tawakkul of the Muslim and the tawakkul of the non-Muslim, that you can see the monks doing that, is that we Muslim, we are here to work and then put the trust upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. التوكل لا ينافي القدر. Even working, it does not negate the trust upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is, we can see that in the Quran, in the Sunnah, in the life of the Sahaba, and the Salaf al-Salih. The way they used to make tawakkul upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wallahi, we will not be able to do that. Our iman hasn't reached there. One of the Salaf, he would go out to pray Salah al-Istisqa. You know the Salah?
Yes.
For rain. And there was no rain, there was drought. And he was going to pray the Salah. Everybody was looking at him. He had his umbrella with him. I'm going to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's going to give it to me. Haqqa tawakkuli. He's going to listen to me. His name is Samir. This is the way we have to put our trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The hadith is very clear. لو أنكم كنتم توكلون على الله حق توكله لرزقتم كما يرزق الطير كما يرزق الطير تغدو خماصا وتروح بطانة. If ever the Prophet ﷺ tells the Sahaba, if you put your trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, حق توكله, he didn't stop here. حق توكله, a true reliance upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah will provide you like He provides for the birds. How does He provide for the birds? The bird, they leave their nest in the morning, they go out in search for food, empty stomach, hungry, but they come back at the end of the day, full stomach. They did not stay in their nest, like the ulama says, they did not stay in their nest, making tasbih of Allah, waiting for the rizq to come. They go in the morning, come at the end of the day, full stomach, and some of them they bring food in their in the mouth for their babies. For the babies.
I just want to mention a point, slightly off the topic, but you mentioned about the rain. So it just reminded a story that I read recently on Sheikh Asim al-Hakim's Facebook page, that in Carolina, they'd approached the Muslims, because you know this in Carolina they've had a lot of hot weather where everyone else has been going through the polar vortex. They've been having extremely dry. So apparently, as per Sheikh Asim's page, the non-Muslims went to the Muslims. You know, sometimes they're like that. They go to all the people to pray for us. So they said, pray for rain. So the Muslims that day went and did Salat al-Istisqa, and they said for 2 days in a row it rained after that. So that was just an interesting story that kind of reminded me, subhanAllah.
It's very true as well.
But obviously they were having the tawakkul, the Muslims. But it was interesting how, subhanAllah, the non-Muslims went to the Muslims and they made the salah with the tawakkul, and subhanAllah, apparently 2 days in a row it rained.
Alhamdulillah, it happened in Medina as well. But that was before I went in there. They told me, I think in year 2005, where they prayed Salat al-Istisqa, because many times the king, they order all the masajid to pray Salat al-Istisqa. But on that day, they prayed Salat al-Istisqa, there was proper drought. They came outside the masjid, it was raining.
Right away.
It was raining.
Right away.
Right away. And until today, we speak about that day. I wasn't there, but when I went there in 2007, they told me this happened. Subhanallah.
Amazing. Brother, I have a question. MashaAllah, you are very well versed in interfaith dialogues and so on. What is the difference between tawakkul on Allah from the Muslim perspective and that of Christians, for example, or Hindus in that case? I think you have experience with
That's a good question. When we see them, when you talk about the Christians, there are two types of Christians. Normally the missionaries.
Right.
And there are certain missionaries which promotes only faith in Jesus. You know, Jesus heals and Jesus is saviors. They do that way, right? So there is one section of that. The other section,
like tawakkul al Jesus.
Tawakkul al Jesus, but they don't produce practical results. They never claim. They claim to, but when we examine, like the Times magazine, and they found out certain, fixing things and all, which is not allowed in Islam. But what we must see, that there are certain things in our days now which dilutes your tawakkul ala Allah. A person, a Muslim child, he may be praying 5 times, he may be having a cap and a beard, he may be even praying tahajjud. He prays in congregation. But there is something that dilutes his tawakkul. And these are the things that are happening around him. For example, in my school days, there was a young Muslim friend of mine, and he used to go to the scrap stores, scrap shops. They sell scraps, searching for the magic lamp of Aladdin. I also find it one day, he says, I'll also find it one day. MashaAllah, you could have gone to the masjid and you could have prayed. And now it's new, and the name is Aladdin. So this boy identifies, he must be a Muslim. So the genie comes and we have a Surah Jinn. So it's all Islamic. So this is how things get corrupted. You understand? Yes. Dilute. And also we have another brand now, Harry Potter.
Oh, yes.
Then in the school days, we have Cinderellas and Rose Red and all these things, these Snow White. These are all magic stories.
Unfortunately, I came across an article in a very well-known...
Yes. That's why I was laughing on it.
A very well-known blog/website that deals with the matters of the Muslims. And one of the contributors and writers on that was saying the benefits we can get from Harry Potter.
It was like 10 lessons or something.
10 lessons from what we can get from Harry Potter. I mean, And they actually started off the lecture along the article along the lines, don't quote me word by word, but along the lines of, we've heard for so long, Harry Potter is haram, Harry Potter is evil. And then as if to, kind of say, come on, that's too extreme. Let's look at the fawaid of Harry Potter, the benefits of Harry. I was, as they say in English, flabbergasted. My mouth was like...
What's the title? I think it's like something like 10 lessons there.
It's
right?
something like 10 lessons from Harry Potter. And like I said, subhanAllah, so it was a very, you just reminded me of that. It was very,
Did you go through those 10 lessons? In brief, nutshell.
I didn't waste my time because I couldn't relate. He was naming the characters. And, that's one thing, whether we all may watch, Allah Alam, a movie in the past or a movie now and again, but one thing I always made sure that I never did from my beginning days of Islam is never go down try to avoid going down those kind of Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter.
But what about
those
the
things
masses?
Say again?
What about the young
of
children?
course, no, many people watch it.
In Muslim schools also? Because everything is happening around us. You see, you cannot build a wall in your house. The child, you cannot see this.
Right.
Harry Potter is haram. You have to give them logical reason as why Harry Potter cannot be true things. And same thing is with like these cartoons. Superman. So they wait for the Superman to come and help. There are stories in Mumbai newspapers. The children jumping from the top floor, hoping Superman to come and help them. You see? So these are taking tawakkul away. What does the Muslim supposed to do? What is the Muslim parent supposed to do? How can he make his child? He should discuss at a dining table. He should discuss at a bedroom time. My son, you see, this movie has come. Now what's the danger behind this movie to your Aqidah? The Superman, they are trying to project this Superman as better creation than Allah's creation. A Mr. Universe, a strong man would jump from the first floor, he would break his legs. He would break his legs. Exactly. But a Superman jumps from the 30th floor, nothing happens. So my son, this is a false character, and it is nothing like trying to create a creation better than Allah's creation. So these types of discussions should be there in schools, in madrasas, at homes, so the child will be able to think and analyze from Islamic perspective.
And I mean, the funny thing about the whole Harry Potter thing, even if you could try and, I don't know how, but derive some...
I think that's what they're trying to do, but I mean, the whole link
fact,
is...
if the only thing in Harry Potter was the word abracadabra, that would be more enough to make it completely haram. I mean, and there's for those people, and many people watch Brother Muhammad Tim Humble on Huda, he's one of has a couple of shows, he has I think he has a lecture which was titled, when it was uploaded, something along abracadabra, talk about magic, and he goes in explaining that this whole abracadabra was actually invented by a British magician who had to lower himself to the lowest levels of evil. He had to go sit naked in a cave, smear himself with his own feces, the most evil of things, to get close to the jinn. And he was the one who invented this abracadabra. It's a complete, it's not some fairy tale. It's something that he made up of complete, kufr and shirk. So even if the only thing that Harry Potter did was run around saying abracadabra, that would be enough to make the movie completely haram. And like you said, you have Muslim children running around saying abracadabra, hocus pocus, and all these kind of words.
Exactly. It does that. And what happens is that in these types of shows and all these things, these abracadabra and all these things, the children, now they tell us even on websites also. There are many Christian websites. They say witchcraft is being revived now through Harry Potter, through Snow White, through Cinderella. Now witchcraft is being revived. And
even Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. And if you see the history of Europe, a few centuries back, couple of centuries back, people who were caught doing witchcraft, they were severely punished, and put to death. They were burned to death. They were burned to death.
Even in I believe it was in the States, the Salem trials, right? That's as early as the 1900s.
Of course, I think sometimes, to be fair, I think sometimes a lot of that was like rumors. I don't think everybody was probably really doing it.
Yeah, anything there
was a lot of things in the past, right? You have some people in Muslim countries like Tanzania where they believe if a child is albino, that he has special powers, and they go and they go and sacrifice them, witch doctors, and they're supposed to be Muslims, obviously, but then, obviously, if you're a witch doctor, you're not a Muslim for sure. But they go and kill them, believing that this albino is some special powers.
Will heal their sexually transmitted diseases.
You have these kind of, I probably a lot of those people had a different belief. I mean, look at the people like Galileo, when he just said scientific information that was correct, but because it went against the Bible, they wanted to kill them. So, but yeah, they were definitely...
Something very important that, going back to what you said, is that this is affecting their talk, because they think that, okay, if I'm going to somehow be this magician or this Superman or impersonate this, I somehow have this strength or this power, this connection, that I can be the master of my own destiny, right? So, Ayad, can you comment a little bit on this issue of destiny and qadr, and how does this relate to tawakkul Allah and tawakkul in general?
Of course, لا شك. That tawakkul ala Allah Azza wa Jal, it goes back to Tawheed. It goes back to the creed. And we've been speaking about the parents had to instill the tawakkul of Allah on their kids. First of all, that parents has to know what is actually a tawakkul ala Allah. And in the beginning, he was speaking about some kind of people that wear the garlic. Yeah.
Right.
But forget that. We have been Muslim wearing something called ta'weed. And this goes back to the tawheed and the tawakkul ala Allah. And if the parents themselves making the kids wearing the ta'weed, and this is something dangerous, because...
Can you explain what this is? What this
ta'weed is some, like they call it the charms, like some people, they might go to some like kind of Maulana, they will write something on the ta'weed, they will give it to you, but you cannot open it. So some of the ulama in Saudi Arabia, when they want the open lot of the ta'weed, they found out that the ta'weed was written with blood. The ta'weed, they contain some kind of numbers that you don't understand. You won't know. But we come back, we go to that country, we come back here, and then we take this, we give it to our kid, say, wear that, you'll be protected.
That reminds me of the same brother, Muhammad Tim Humble. He deals with this ruqya. He has in the UK, and one time when he had I think it was the same lecture that I chose to watch it because I wanted to show it to some children in a weekend school that I used to teach at. So I wanted them to learn from me about this and then go home and watch a detailed lecture. So I checked it out first, and he was mentioning that about the ta'weez, or as they say ta'weez, but the ta'weez, that he said 99% of them. He said, when people come to me and I told them remove it, and I would open it, and these people are coming and said, come on, this comes from one of our imams, one of our maulanas, we know him since we were kids, he taught my dad Quran, no way. And he said 99% of the time I would open these, exactly what you said. Funny, messed up, they always put the name of Sulaiman because there's a connection between Sulaiman and the jinn. Exactly. And they put funny numbers. He would say 99, he said very rarely, I would, now and again I'd find Ayatul Kursi or something. But he said 99%, even from these, sometimes imams and so-called maulanas, they have these, pretty much, jumbled up and doesn't mean anything. Letters by themselves and numbers by themselves in the middle of Quranic verses back to front, all kind of evil kind of looking things,
Exactly. This is what happened once. I was in the masjid and someone came to me. He's got, we call that, I think in Urdu, tabiz. That's how you call it in Urdu, I think, tabiz. So he came to me and he was telling me all his problem he's got. And then I told him, what's that in your hand right here? He told me it's a tabiz, one of my maulana gave it to me. And we paid for that. And he told me not to remove it. So this is what happened now. What happened now? Why is it a shirk? Wearing a ta'weed, because you have actually put your trust on someone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this ta'weed. Shaitan will make you believe that it's this ta'weed that's making you benefiting in your job, promoting in your job. It's only temporary. Even though sometimes you might be sick, wearing some kind of ta'weed, in reality, it's going to increase your sickness in the future. This is what happened. One of the Sahaba was wearing that. They removed it. If you die wearing this, we're not going to pray Salat al-Janazah upon you. This is it. And the ta'weed, and that man, he said, the Maulana said, not to remove that. And then I told him, come on, let's remove it. Let's see what's happened. He did not. I said, come on, let's do it. I'm going to open it for you. We're going to read, we open it. He did not. allow me to do that. Because he already had that belief in him. He lost his job, he was very sick. I think he got divorced with his wife, and he does not want to remove that. Because he already instilled that kind of belief that he can put his trust. I'm putting my trust on Allah and on the ta'wil. Yes, both. This is how they do
Asbab, they call it.
So this is how they do it. Because if we go back to the Quran and the Sunnah, if we just read how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speak about at-tawakkul ala Allah, almost like 70 times Allah speak about tawakkul ala Allah azza wa jal. وعلى الله فليتوكل المؤمنون وتوكل على الحي الذي لا يموت. Put your trust upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إن ينصركم الله فلا غالب لكم. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there to help you, nobody will be able to defeat you. There are many benefits. Inshallah, we're going to speak about this benefit later on. But at-ta'weed, this is something that I found in my school as well. And I had to let them know. And they might go home and tell their parents, my ustad told me to remove that. So this can cause some kind of problem as well. You
mentioned those verses, and a verse came to mind, which is very to the point, beautiful verse. وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. Whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for them.
Sufficient for them.
Sufficient.
And there is a new term now. If you must have heard it in the Pakistan and Indian subcontinent, Amil. You heard about the term Amil? No. So they say he's an Amil. Something has happened to me. I have to go to an Amil. So I said, what is this Amil? So they say, he controls the jinn. I said, then he's better than Sulaiman alayhi salam. Is he? And actually the jinn is controlling. He pretends to be in the bottle. The stories they have, a genie in the bottle. So he wants to come out. So this man, he says, I have a jinn in the bottle. I control your jinn and everything. All your problems gone. Nobody to harass you. And there are professionals. They come to your house and they go to rich people's house. You see, if you see Surah Al-Araf, the people who oppose good things, وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ مَلَؤُوا, the elite class, the top grade class. So these types of khurafat and these types of jahaliya, they are found in the rich people's places. And this man comes, and along with this there are caravans of cars, a fleet of cars, and smell and fragrance, and he comes and he sits like this, like a boss, and rich people, they sit on his feet, at his feet, and they talk and shake this and shake that, and peers up this and peers up this, and lot of things take place.
Sounds like a Tahir Qadri. But anyway, we've got to go for a quick break, inshallah. Join us after the break. Be there or be square.
Time to please Allah, a chance to gain reward. I will spend on you, He says.
Reading the Quran is a blessing. Understanding its translation is beautiful. But diving in depth and extracting pearls from it is simply amazing. Do they not ponder upon the Quran? Every week, inshallah, we will dig deep and reflect on the verses of the Quran one by one.
Quran in Depth with Sheikh Ibrahim Zaidan, only on Huda TV.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. You're not giving it to him because he has black eyes or blue eyes. You're giving it to him because of his position. And that is why you're giving it to this particular department's head rather than giving it to the HR GM, for example. Nobody gives the HR GM anything because they don't want anything from him until they want a job. Therefore, this is the way you can judge whether it's a bribe or not. To get into a halal transaction, first of all, the bank or the financial institution should acquire and own this apartment before any commitment.
Time to please Allah, a chance to gain reward. I will spend on you, He says.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back. and we are covering an amazing topic, amazing discussion. I think there's a lot of benefit, alhamdulillah, a lot of things that a lot of people might not have known when it comes to the issue of tawakkul, and specifically tawakkul and certain things that are not allowed in Islam, and a lot of people are ignorant of. They're related to their culture, and they just basically say, well, you know, I've known this all my life. How can this be wrong? How can even, you know, sometimes they might even turn a bit aggressive and say, how can you know, you're so extreme, you know, this is good, you know, come on, it's just, I believe, I trust this guy, this is, subhanAllah. So this is something that is, I think, very, very important. Let me, before I go through something that I wanted to say, Brother Nizar, when it comes to this whole new deity, I would call it, any false deity that people,
Taghut.
Okay, taghut, yes, and which is money and just physical, materialistic things that people put their trust in. How does that come into play in this whole picture?
I tell you, I was interviewing one of the Maulana who was very famous for tying and selling amulets. So I asked him, Sheikh, why do you do this? He says, my salary.
He's getting
They pay
money.
me 2,000 for imamats. If I would have gone to a school, I would have become a doctor, engineer. It's the duty of the trustees of the masajid, the Muslim community, that a man sacrifices his 12, 13 years in madrasa, and I don't have money to run my family. You all moving in Suzukis and Toyotas, and I'm on a bicycle, day here, day night, teaching tajweed and makhraj only. So that was his complex.
Allah Akbar.
So that was his complex. It can be refuted that even the prophets were poor. So money should not be a reason for you to do sin, and money should not be an obstacle for you to remain on taqwa.
Let me cut you down for a second because we have a phone call, inshallah. And let's see
Yes,
what
sure.
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello, brothers. I want you all to continue this program for 3, 4 more series, because it's a very important program. I want you all to continue this 3 to 4 weekends, inshallah. It's a very, very important program. I'm looking forward for such, and I want you all to continue, please. I request you all. That's only my message.
Okay, maybe, I mean, brother Iyad, he was gonna go into the benefits. Maybe, inshallah, what we can do, if Brother Iyad is okay with that, maybe we could, or maybe Brother Nisar as well. Why not?
I'm flying day after tomorrow, and I'll be back in February end.
MashaAllah. So it looks like Brother Iyad, if you're willing, inshallah, to come back next week, we can spend a detailed episode on the benefits and the ways we can
that'd be great.
do tawakkul, inshallah.
We've got a lot to speak about tawakkul ala Allah. It's not only 1 hour is not enough. And this is part of your aqeedah.
Yes.
If this goes wrong, you're making tahajjud, you're making your siyam, your zakah, everything, and this is wrong, then فَجَعَلْنَا هَبَاءً مَنْثُورًا. أو يوم القيامة, all your good deeds are gone because you put your trust on someone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah reward that sister because she actually believed that this is something very, very important.
I could
for
feel
the
it in her
ummah.
voice. This is
No, mashallah. No, I do really appreciate that.
Inshallah, sister, whoever you are, we'll, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, we'll make sure.
Her request,
inshallah, we'll make sure that we'll cover that next. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
So this Maulana, these are the people, these are one of the reasons why people go into haram. They sell of their akhirah. Just for the little benefit, monetary benefit. These are one of the reasons. The second is the status symbol that comes along with it. Sheikh, Pir Sahib. You see, that is the status symbol. People even gift cars. Am I happy? You drew away my problems. So this is a car, Sheikh, with a driver and maintenance. So what happens is that because of materialism, people, fadallu adallu, they deviate and they let others also deviate because they wanted a car, because they were not doctors, they could not become engineers. Now what is the duty of the people now? What are the duty of the parents and all? Especially, the trustees of the masajid and the madrasas. I'm not talking about here. Here it is supervised by the government. Talking about half the Muslim population of the world is in Bangladesh, India, Pakistan. Half Muslim, almost you can say. So the problem lies there. The core nucleus is there. You have to work on the people who are the trustees of the masajid and the madrasas, and they put, a curb on these activities. Nobody should come and approach for Maulana for any spiritual activities unless it is authorized by the trustees or the senior ulamas. But this has become messed up. It needs a lot of efforts on the people of Quran and Sunnah, the Muballighs, the Ahlul Ilm. It's a big responsibility. Something has to be done on a war front. Because you see, the punishment of Allah comes when the shirk is there among the Muslims. If you see the Quran, Bani Israel.
Yes.
Why? Why does Allah give and elaborate stories of Bani Israel, did this and did that? Because they were the main people and we are going to follow them inch by inch, cubit by cubit.
Exactly. Brother, basically we're talking about, mashallah, very good points here, about people taking benefit from, bringing the so-called tawakkul to them and making a false prophet, subhanallah, onto this. But how about people putting their tawakkul on the money itself, on the wealth itself, thinking that this is like, subhanallah, like it's almost a god, that I can do whatever I want because money is with me, or I have the money.
Exactly. This is what has happened to many Muslims as well. And I get all these questions in the masjid. Brother, I bought property. I lost everything. Brother, this happened and that happened. They believe the money they're getting, like how you said in the beginning, the money has become their God. They put their trust on their money. At the end of the day, they do not have any money. It's like, this is what happened. Many of them tend to commit suicide. Because that kind of tawakkul are not there. Because they forgot. They forgot that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who gave them that money. And the money that you get, you have to know a share, not for you. The money from Allah is share for the poor. Yes. But when you get that money, you have to know how to use it. You have to know how to use it in order for it to be pure. You give the zakat when it's supposed to be given. So some people, they forget about everything. Their money is their happiness. Those kind of people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests them in the money. Then you can see them, they go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the one you see them coming in the masjid. Brother, I don't know what to do. They come say, what kind of salah shall I make in order to get back my money? Because this is what they want at the end of the day. Back their money, because this is where they find the happiness. أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبُ. That's why Allah says in the Quran, for verily you find the sweetness, the tranquility of your heart in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You find the tranquility in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not in the money.
And then you find the opposite. وَمَنْ يَعْرَضْ عَنْ ذِكْرِ
فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا.
SubhanAllah.
Whoever goes
away from the remembrance of Allah, he will have like a horrible kind of tight life,
Very true. Very true.
And anxiety.
And sometimes,
SubhanAllah, if you go on for, I think if I'm not mistaken, وَنَحْشَرُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَعْمَى.
نعم.
That we will raise them on the day of judgment blind. SubhanAllah. And then they will ask, oh Allah, why did you raise me blind? And just like you turned away and ignored us in the dunya, we're doing it to you in the akhirah. SubhanAllah. So it has a whole knock-on effect. SubhanAllah.
SubhanAllah.
And the other thing is, when it comes to tawakkul on materialistic things, right? People think that, I'm okay. I have money. I can do whatever I want. I'll buy my happiness. I'll buy my health. And specifically, this is something very important. That you find people with so much money that it's nothing for them. It's uncountable. They don't care. They lost track of. And then they fall sick and nothing, no treatment, the best doctor, hospital in the world cannot treat them, subhanAllah.
Exactly. This is where it comes. I mean, you can find, many times we hear that this millionaire or this celebrity has committed suicide. Why? He cannot find, or he or she cannot find in tranquility. Because in the first place, he or she has put his trust in the money. When he found out he or she in debt, the money is going, that's it. His happiness is going. This is it. You had something to say, bro?
Yeah, that's what we call. I would like to add it. There, you see, the largest number of people who commit suicide, they come from one particular profession, ratio-wise. The musicians and the singers. And there is a magic in music and songs. And people get deviated, people get carried away, people get emotionally charged. Like, they say volcano of emotions. And these people, they are saturated with life. At the age of 18, 19, 20, they get everything in life. They have hundreds of Ferraris and BMWs, and they have wealth, and everybody's clicking their pictures. They are famous. They are famous. So now what do? His girlfriend is going out with somebody else now. So he's not happy. So he drinks, and binge drinking, and then drugs. And these are the people, they are finally put into rehabilitation centers to be treated. And world famous singers, you see the bestsellers.
Yes.
The bestsellers are there. Yesterday also Justin Bieber was supposed to be advised to go and get admitted in one of these centers. What happened with his wealth? So he got the wealth. He's like just eating the food, but you're not able to digest your food. That's what happens actually.
Well, mashallah, it's been a very interesting episode, and inshallah,
I think we need to continue, definitely.
Yeah, we're definitely going to continue because we've come to the end of today's show. Obviously, inshallah, we'll hope to have you back when you come back in sometime, inshallah. But we'll continue, inshallah, with Brother Iyad next week, inshallah.
If we're still alive.
If we're still alive.
Tawakkal Allah.
With us, that you say, inshallah, and
we'll make the tawakkal Allah, inshallah.
Accordingly.
Yes, come back, inshallah. So, we've come to the end of the show. So, as always, inshallah, we'll end. And it's, you know, assalamu alaikum from myself and assalamu alaikum from
Gabriel Al-Romaani, inshallah. See you. Barakallah feek.
Time to please Allah, a chance to gain reward. I will spend on you, he says, on all who spend in good cause. Good deeds are opportunities, sparkling bright and true, raising you in the sight of Allah and adorning Al-Jannah for you. So rush to earn his reward, don't forget the oppressed.